Kings of planet Earth, you are living in a giant, pathetic, total delusion.
Today, we are scientifically exposing why tiny ants are the absolute real bosses of this planet, and why you are basically just their temporary, clueless guests. I strictly forbid you from subscribing. Only elite minds who can handle their fragile human ego being completely destroyed belong here. You probably cannot take it.
Sit down, take a deep breath, and prepare to watch your human supremacy complex completely fail its own biology test in the most hilarious, terrifying ways.
Let us start with the sheer, terrifying numerical math, or exactly how humanity is completely outnumbered by tiny, aggressive underground monsters right under our very feet. For every single individual human being walking on this planet, there are literally about 2.5 million living ants constantly moving around. Think about that.
If they all magically decided to organize and aggressively attack us tomorrow morning, you would not stand a single chance. Your fancy smartphone cannot save you. Their total combined biomass actually heavily equals or completely exceeds the total weight of all wild birds and mammals combined. They are the undisputed heavyweight champions.
They are absolutely everywhere, except for Antarctica. Why? Because even tiny ants have way too much self-respect to willingly live in a freezing, completely useless desert. They are absolutely everywhere, except for Antarctica. Why? Because even tiny ants have way too much self-respect to willingly live in a freezing, completely useless desert. They literally cultivate their own organic food in highly advanced, climate-controlled underground chambers while you still accidentally burn your cheap frozen pizza in the oven tonight.
They even intelligently herd tiny aphids exactly like microscopic green cows, gently milking them for sweet sugar and aggressively protecting them from predators like professional ranchers. Let us talk about their massive military power. Ants do not have petty border disputes. They actively participate in literal, full-scale, multi-continental world wars every day. The massive Argentine ant supercolony aggressively stretches over 6,000 kilometers across Europe, California, and Japan, violently fighting other rival colonies in relentless, bloody global battles.
Their complex battle formations are scientifically more precise than the ancient Roman Empire. They naturally use biological chemical warfare and strategic flank attacks like evil geniuses. When an aggressive ant soldier violently dies in battle, they absolutely do not cry. They just efficiently carry the dead body away and instantly send replacements. You constantly complain about working a basic 40-hour week. Ants work 24/7 without ever complaining, without seeking therapy, and without demanding a single pathetic pay raise. The powerful queen ant can easily live for up to 30 long years, ruling a massive empire of millions, while your favorite politicians lose power fast. Ants literally do not need corrupt police, complicated laws, or useless lawyers. They have a perfect chemical communication system where everyone absolutely knows their job instantly.
If you refuse to work hard, you get aggressively kicked out or violently eaten. It is a completely brutal, flawless, and terrifyingly functional communist society today.
Their physical strength is absolutely ridiculous and completely unfair. A single ant can easily lift 50 times its own body weight using strictly its terrifying jaws. That is the exact mathematical equivalent of a normal human lifting a heavy commercial pickup truck over their head while casually running away from an enemy. They brilliantly build massive superstructures deep underground that can easily span multiple miles, complete with perfect air ventilation, nursery rooms, and specific waste disposal garbage areas. Humans desperately need billions of dollars and decades of highly corrupt construction to build a single subway, but ants do it perfectly overnight with bare dirt. If a massive, terrifying flood suddenly comes, fire ants aggressively cling together to carefully form a living, floating, biological raft that can survive rough water weeks of. You accidentally get wet in the light rain and immediately catch a terrible cold, while ants are literally building highly functional organic rescue boats using sisters. They are so incredibly organized and clean that they even have designated, specific graveyards. They absolutely do not want rotting dead bodies messing up their beautiful apartments. When a tiny ant sadly dies, it instantly releases a specific chemical called oleic acid. That is basically an undeniable chemical signal loudly screaming for removal. If you maliciously put this exact chemical on a perfectly living ant, her friends will forcibly carry her to the graveyard anyway, ignoring her terrifying screams. That is the terrifying level of cold, systematic efficiency we are actually dealing with here. Absolutely zero emotions, just pure, unadulterated, and extremely terrifying robotic teamwork. Some terrifying species, like the famous leafcutter ants, can casually carry heavy leaves weighing 20 times their own body weight to feed their massive underground farms. They are the absolute ultimate, undisputed forest cleanup crew, perfectly recycling essential nutrients and aerating the soil way better than any expensive human machine ever could. And then we have the absolutely terrifying army ants. These crazy guys do not even build permanent homes. They are a constant, violently moving wave of death. They aggressively march in the millions, eagerly eating absolutely everything in their dark path, from large fuzzy spiders to green lizards, and even small sleeping animals. If you stupidly fall asleep directly in their marching path, you will definitely wake up as a perfectly clean, white skeleton. Sounds like a fun weekend! But sure, please keep confidently believing that modern humans are the absolute peak of planetary evolution simply because you can make really funny, completely useless videos. Ants literally do not care about your slow Wi-Fi, your constantly crashing global economy, or your sensitive human feelings. They just patiently wait for our destruction. If a massive, terrifying nuclear war happens tomorrow, humans will definitely die instantly, but the ants underground will probably just continue happily farming their organic fungus. They already successfully survived the massive fiery asteroid that completely killed the giant dinosaurs, and they will easily survive whatever incredibly stupid mistakes fragile humanity makes.
We foolishly think we own this land because we aggressively build concrete cages and drive shiny cars, but we are actually just walking directly on their roof.
Every single time you accidentally drop a tiny, useless crumb of cheap bread, you are basically paying direct mandatory rent to the actual real planetary landlords. They are constantly watching you from the tiny cracks in your dark kitchen wall, silently planning, patiently waiting, and probably loudly laughing at your pathetic life. If the powerful global ant nation had an official world flag, it would successfully be planted absolutely everywhere. They are the ultimate conquerors of the world.
So, what is the terrifying final verdict? We are literally just a temporary, minor biological glitch in a massive world that has always belonged to ants.
They absolutely do not need our modern technology, our expensive art, or our complicated social systems. They achieved perfect biological survival without our completely useless garbage. I explicitly told you not to subscribe at the beginning. If you actually stuck around to prove me wrong, well, congratulations. Hit the button and join us. Go quickly back to your warm bed, try incredibly hard not to drop any fresh food, and desperately pray the giant ant army does not evict you. I am planetsnaps. Stay aggressively curious, stay wonderfully savage, and always carefully watch your careless steps. Peace out, and definitely do not get eaten today.